Deepti Galaron joins me on the set now for a look at what the papers are saying today. Hi, Deepti.
Hi, Jeannie.
You're going to start with a look at those anti-government protests that have been sweeping Iraq.
That's right, and they're dominating the Iraqi papers today. At least several people have died and hundreds injured in just 2 days of unrest. Jeannie, provincial cities and now the capital Baghdad are under curfew until further notice. This Iraqi paper, Al-Mada, deploring the fact that areas where protesters were gathering have now been transformed into war zones, and the fact that security forces have been using live bullets on demonstrators. Another Iraqi paper, Azaman, deplores the number of people killed in the violence, saying, I quote, "This repression is a price that Iraqis are paying for their right to protest."
Now, the Times of London's correspondent takes us into neighboring Syria, and in particular to a camp where the women and children of Islamic State fighters are languishing.
Anthony Lloyd, he's been writing a series of reports from northern Syria. Now he reports in this article from the Al-Hal camp, the largest refugee camp in northern Syria, and describes this situation where members of the Islamic State group are trying to revive the movement. In fact, a report by the Pentagon even deplored the lack of security in the area. We're talking about a camp that's becoming an incubator for the next generation of fighters, at least according to this writer. In particular, you have around 50,000 children of fighters who are lacking a proper education and are becoming even more radicalized. One leader says some of these children are so radicalized that they see the leader of the Islamic State group as an infidel.
Next now, Dipti, to the United States, where a former Dallas police officer, a white woman, has been sentenced to 10 years in prison for shooting and killing an unarmed black man.
That's right. Amber Guyger was off duty last year, Jeannie, when she mistakenly entered her neighbor's apartment, Botham Jean. He was eating an ice cream in his living room. She shot him and killed him. Now, she's been sentenced to 10 years in prison. The shooting drawing attention for its very strange nature, but also because it was yet another case of a white police officer killing an unarmed black man. And in this case, a case of institutionalized racism. Well, for this writer here, Mickey Kendall, the guilty verdict is proof that the Black Lives Matter movement has had an impact. And according to her, I quote, "The American understanding of race, of policing and self-defense seems to be slowly changing."
And there were some really emotional scenes in the courtroom that are really making headlines today as well.
Well, right after that verdict, Brant Jean, now he's a brother of the man killed, well, he asked the judge if he could approach Amber Guyger. He then hugged her and wished her nothing but the best. He told her that he forgave her for her mistake, and USA Today describes a courtroom that was where sobs could be heard throughout the courtroom after this touching encounter. The judge at one point also hugged Guyger as she was led away from the courtroom.
Next now, Deepti, the first Emirati astronaut, Hazal Mansouri, has landed back on Earth after an expedition to the International Space Station.
That's right, and his mission triggered much joy and pride in the Emirates, as you can see from the front page of Gulf News. He had donned the Emirati robes on board. He took part in scientific experiments and shared a lot of pictures, as astronauts do, of the UAE and Mecca from his vantage point aboard the International Space Station. He spent 8 days there, and what's interesting is that in Gulf News debates also the size of his head and whether it's actually expanded during his time on the ISS. It could well be the case because the paper explains that there's a rush of fluids when you're up there, and it can cause the top part of your body to expand. The paper also explaining that zero gravity means that your shoulders and arms are permanently raised, and other side effects, one's sense of smell and taste also changes.
Interesting. All right, let's wrap up now with the 2020 edition of the Guinness Book of World Records. It comes out next month, and BuzzFeed's already looking at some of the more unusual records this year, next year.
Exactly. Unusual, you could say weird, bizarre. Some of them include bottle flipping, gravy wrestling, and dinosaur flash mobs. And then you have these kind of people. There's Lucky Diamond Rich of Australia. He's the most tattooed man with over 1,000 hours of body modification. The man on the right there has a record for the most toothpicks in a beard. It took him over 3 hours to put 3,500 toothpicks in his beard.
Why like a porcupine ate his face.
He does, doesn't he? There's also the tallest hat, which is the picture on the left of your screen there. That hat is nearly 16 feet tall. And in fact, the person wearing the hat had to walk over 10 meters with the hat on to prove that it is wearable. And then you have the one next to it, the picture there, a record probably that will never come in handy. It's the largest table tennis bat achieved by an American mechanical company. Others include the most pinky finger pull-ups and the fastest time a bowl of pasta is devoured.
Crazy. Dipti, thank you for that. Dipti Galon with that look at the press review today. You can also get another look at all of that if you like on our website, the address france24.com.